Pero todavía no nos marchamos de Europa porque ahora vamos a escuchar a representantes de entidades y alianzas que se dedican a dar a conocer la formación profesional dual e impulsar un modelo de calidad en la región. Para moderar este debate tenemos con nosotros a Guillem Salvás, es Senior Project Manager de la Fundación Bertelsmann. Así que adelante, Guillem.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining this session of our VII Foro. My name is Guillem Salvans, and I work in the Bertelsmann Foundation as Senior Project Manager. I will moderate the next panel session. As most of you know, dual learning involves always cooperation among stakeholders, otherwise it cannot exist. A dual VET project entails at least the common work of a VET school and a company. However, sometimes we can promote dual VET through more complex structures, creating cooperation networks. These structures can adopt different roles and goals in different countries. For instance, they can be promoted by governments with a legal mandate or not. But beyond different approaches, working collaborative allows getting stronger results in the medium and long term, and it pays always off. Even if in this way, we can always find some challenges to solve. About apprenticeship promotion through networks, we'll discuss this afternoon with three excellent panelists. I will right now introduce our three colleagues, and thanks already for being with us. Firstly, I have the pleasure to introduce Simon Panholzer. Simon Panholzer is a former apprentice who finished his studies in economics and now is working for the initiative Zukunftslehre Österreich in Austria to improve the image of the apprenticeships. Hello, Simon, how are you? Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks. Welcome from Vienna from my side. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Our second panelist, Carla Mott. Carla Mott is the coordinator of the Unit of Secondary Education and Pupil Guidance within the Flemish Department of Education and Training. He is also the secretary of the Flemish Partnership for Dual Learning. Hola, Carl, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing fine. Live from Brussels.
Live from Brussels. Okay. And finally, I have the pleasure to introduce Norbert Schöbel. Norbert works as a team leader in the European Commission, and he's currently in charge of apprenticeships, future professional skills, and international cooperation. Hola, Norbert. ¿Cómo estás? How are you?
Hola, Guillem, and greetings from rainy Brussels.
Brussels. So we have two Brussels, one Vienna, no? And one Madrid. So Brussels is winning, by the way. Okay. Okay, let's start this panel session. I'm very happy to be here with you. I know you very well, most of you. So we are among friends. So I would say just calm and relax, and let's have a lovely talk. I will start with my colleague, with the youngest one, with my colleague Simon. Simon Panholzer. Simon works, as I have mentioned, in this initiative Zukunftslehre in Österreich, in Austria. And basically, Simon, what do you do in this initiative? I think it's an independent, non-governmental, and multi-sectorial initiative. Can you explain a little bit the goals and the main activities that you perform?
Yes, of course. As you already mentioned, we are a non-profit cross-industry initiative, independent, with the aim of highlighting the benefits and the opportunities of apprentice and vocational training and improving the reputation of the dual education system in society. We are currently the biggest apprentice initiative in Austria with about 150 members, companies like KTM, FACC, Energie AG, Raiffeisen, Siemens, and many more. But I also want to mention at this point, we do not also only have the big players. We also have a lot of small enterprises and middle enterprises within our members. Every member is having a profit of our alliance. In webinars during COVID and in physical events, the apprentice trainers have the possibilities to gain knowledge from each other. The main goal, as I already mentioned, of our initiative is highlighting the advantages, the possibilities, and the opportunities of doing an apprenticeship. The goal is definitely to make apprenticeship the most attractive training again. And about connect and collect, we do connect the people, the companies, the trainers and we collect problems. And as a strong voice, we go, for example, to the labor ministry and tell them what's the problem at the moment, and we help as a lobbying partner in the background.
Yes, but Simon, when we talked last week, something took my attention. You explained it to me that you have a club of alumni, former apprentice, that they work together or they share experience. What is this idea of having a club of alumni?
Thanks. Yes, we talked about the alumni. Every initiative is having alumni clubs, and we came up with this idea, also giving the apprenticeship the possibility of the alumni stage, providing a stage for individuals with the main goal of being inspirational for the next generation. Having idols is getting more and more important in the world. We see, for example, in the sport world, for example, Dominic Thiem is winning a tennis match, and young people are on the court again. So we need more idols, and we see these alumni clubs as an idol club. About the sensibility of the alumni club regarding the youngsters, yes, they are totally into the whole thing, but it's also necessary to mention that the enterprises itself should promote it more, the alumni club. We are on the best way to communicate it with our members.
All right, Simon, thank you very much. We are looking at a non-government initiative, and now we will go to Flanders, and we will discover a governmental initiative, and we will do through our panelist, Carl Lamolt. I would like to ask to Carl, what is this Flemish partnership, Carl?
Yes, thank you. Now, first of all, I'm speaking here from the perspective of the secretary of the partnership, so not as a policy maker. The colleagues from CEDEFOP already introduced the partnership a bit, but the Flemish Partnership Dual Learning is actually a council with representatives of education, employers and employees, but also the Regional Public Employment Agency, the Department of Labor and the Department of Education. So it's quite a broad council. Within the council, we provide advice concerning dual learning and related topics to both the ministers of education and the minister of labor, and we develop a so-called common vision on apprenticeships and dual learning. Summarized, the council is in charge also of the accreditation of companies, the monitoring of the dual contracts between learners, schools and companies, and we inform and support companies about dual learning. I should be honest, a lot of these activities are also delegated to sectoral partnerships, which have a comparable composition and a comparable task. But where the Flemish partnership focuses on a more strategic level, the sectoral partnership is more focused on, let's say, the daily business and the operational tasks.
So, Carl, if I understand properly, you are the umbrella organization, the Flemish partnership, and below you are organized through the sectors, right? Is that right? Which topics conform this idea of strategic decisions? Which topics do you deal with at the umbrella level? You have mentioned some of them, but
yeah, well, it means that the topics that we try to tackle in the Flemish partnership are most of the time topics aimed at a level of both ministers, but based on operational concerns, based on what lives in daily reality. For example, during the last meetings, we wrote an extensive advice to both ministers on their ambition to extend dual learning towards adult education. And with this advice, we also built our own vision on the topic, and we communicate that with the ministers together with some concerns that we have on that topic. A few meetings before, we also gave advice on the reform of the current apprenticeship system in Flanders in the transition towards dual learning. And that advice was actually meant as an important signal toward both ministers. So it was mainly based on these daily concerns and challenges. Yeah, well, these are the more strategic levels, and you cannot compare it to the sectoral partners.
But the sectoral partners, if I understood properly, Carl, in these coalitions, they accreditate companies to participate in dual learning. So is this a task of the sectors in your country, in your region, right? Because here in Spain,
Yes,
we have a
yes.
lack of this sectoral development. This is a task of the sectors, right?
Yes, we try to delegate a lot of the tasks to the sectoral partners. The reason is very simple. The sectors are most familiar with priorities within their sector, and they know their companies quite well. That is also the reason that the accreditation of the company is in most cases delegated to the sector. They're not completely autonomous in doing so. The accreditation framework is written in law, but they can support the companies in order to reach the level of accreditation, and they can decide on whether or not giving an accreditation. The sectors are also a partner in constructing the curriculum. They can advise on new curricula, and they are consulted in the construction process in itself. Now, next to this consultation of the curricula, the sector is also in charge of the construction of a professional qualification file, but that is the basis for every vocational course in Flanders, so not only for dual learning. We give these sectors quite a lot of responsibilities, but we believe that they are best placed to take up these responsibilities more than the Flemish partnership, which has a focus on the macro level. But of course, when a sector is not able to take up a certain responsibility, this responsibility goes back to the Flemish partnership.
And if I understood properly, Carl, in this sectorial level, you have also the representation of employers, unions, and educational providers. Is that correct? And other stakeholders,
Yes.
perhaps?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is actually the same composition as the Flemish partnership.
Okay, so in this case, we have structures of cooperation led by, let's say, more formal institutions, but they make a critical task within your dual system. Thanks, Carl. I will move now to our third colleague, my colleague Norbert Schöbel from the European Commission, from the European Alliance for Apprenticeship. Norbert, hi, just to warm up a little bit, what is the European Alliance for Apprenticeships? I know already, but perhaps some of our
it's mainly a
don't know.
network, and it's a platform. It has actually it was started already in 2013. You know, when after the financial and the economic crisis in European Union, with countries, particularly in the southern countries, and youth unemployment rates of sometimes more than 40%, there was a real need to act. And we know from evidence, and in some countries, that apprenticeships are a successful tool in the transition from school to work. That's why in 2013, the European Commission, together with the European social partners, launched this European Alliance for Apprenticeships. And it has 4 key objectives: to increase the supply, the quality, and the image of apprenticeship. And later on, we also worked a little bit on the mobility, so that the young people also have opportunities to move into another country. Now, of course, with COVID, we last year, to avoid again that youth unemployment becomes a serious problem, we put new priorities to the alliance. So, for instance, we want to talk more about these coalitions, like what you do at national or regional level. We want to see how we better can support SMEs, how we can mobilize local and regional authorities. That's for us very important. And to think a little bit about the social partners, including what just Carl said about the dimension of sectoral social partners. And last but not least, but for me very important, a bit like Simon, for me it's very important also to listen to the young people, to the apprentices themselves. And we have created a European Apprentice Network, and we want to give the voice to the young people because it's their future, particularly when we talk about digital and green. So just a last word, maybe currently we have 36 countries being part of the alliance, and we have around 360 individual commitments from all kind of organizations who want to participate in this European network.
I would say you have a broad picture about the situation in Europe, no? What would you say? Networks promoting apprenticeships in Europe are well established or not?
That's a good question. Actually, I have a broad picture, but sometimes we simply don't know exactly what's happening. So we did a survey among the European Alliance for Apprenticeship, and we found out that around 30 networks, coalitions, alliances, whatever you want to call them, in 13 countries. 18 of them are at national level, 8 at regional level, and 6 at local level. We also have some cooperation among countries like, for instance, the Baltic Alliance. But to be honest, we know that they cooperate at local, regional, national level, of course, with different type of partners, sometimes up to 8 partners, part of this network or alliance. But what we really miss is cooperation, let's say, not a cooperation, an exchange of views at European level. So my idea was that we, once a year at least, we bring all these national, regional, local alliances together so that we can all learn from each other, because the challenges are the same.
I would say you have already answered my next question, but I want to read it again. Do you think we cooperate enough among networks from different countries? Do we have enough cooperation?
I don't think so, and but that's a problem. I think in everywhere we are so busy with our own networks that we forget to cooperate to look across our own borders, and that's why really I think there is not enough. And I don't know, Carl, I think you can also tell me. I mean, it's even in Belgium sometimes difficult to cooperate between different regions. I know that you do that, but when we talk about Europe, there is still a lack of cooperation. The European Alliance for Apprenticeship can help, and that's also the biggest benefit, because when we do an annual survey, most of our partners and members of the Alliance say that this is the biggest benefit, to learn from each other. But as I said, when it comes to the local, regional, and national networks, I think we can do much more and learn from each other.
What do you think, Carl and Simon? Should we collaborate more? I mean, we don't make any project together with you, Carl, or with you, Simon. Why not?
I totally agree about the networking, and having the exchange of information should go over the borders, and we should collect the information over Europe.
What do you think, Carl?
Yes, I can agree, of course. Norbert knows me, and I'm always a participant, an active participant to all these network events, because I think that we can learn from each other. And in fact, we did. The Flemish partnership, or the dual learning in Flanders, is quite young, and we started participating in these networks in, I think, 2017, 2016, and we learned quite a lot from it, that we used in our legislative framework. So for us, it's like an evidence-based project that we did. So it's quite useful, definitely.
Okay, I'm going to Austria again, to Vienna. Simon, for us, your country in terms of apprenticeships is like something that we always look, no? Like Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and so on. Why do you make this initiative, this non-profit, multi-sectorial and independent initiative? Do you have problems in your apprenticeship system in Austria?
Of course, I mean, there's a huge demographic thing at the moment going on. Like 20 years ago, we had way more young people. So we have like fewer young people in the Austrian labor market, and this will be definitely a topic. And furthermore, we need to think more connected regarding new target groups when it comes to the training. Like also focus on people until 25 and older, to put them into the labor market.
Okay, Simon, and if I understood properly, your initiative, you work basically with youngsters and companies, no? Which are the best strategies to involve youngsters and companies within the apprenticeship promotion? What do you think?
So the best strategies are providing webinars and seminars for the trainers and as well for the apprentices. We tripled our members within the last years, so we're like 150 now at the moment. And we offer like these webinars that I mentioned, and the apprentice trainers can broaden their horizon within our seminars. For example, we provide labor law specialists, like lawyers, and we also provide social skills trainings for the youngsters. I mean, a simple good morning, goodbye, or have a good meal is for us probably a normal thing, but for the next generation, sometimes they need to get reminded, and we see that the like people really like our trainings.
And what about you, Carl? How do you ensure the involvement and the commitment of the partners, the stakeholders you are working with? Is it just by the legal mandate that they have, or you have other strategies? And how you ensure the impact of these actions?
It's not just about the legal mandate, but it's by giving them some part of the training of the students. We do give them a significant responsibility in the training of these youngsters in order to to contribute to the final qualification. So it's not only offering a working place. It's not only offering the company infrastructure. It's really about offering some part of the future of the youngsters, and that keeps them motivated, definitely.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Carl. I will go to Norbert another time. Norbert, we have here as example an initiative from the private sector and another initiative led by the government, by the Flemish government. What do you think? Coalitions, alliance should be promoted by governments, or should be independent initiatives, or both, or they should involve all the stakeholders? What do you think?
First of all, I think there's no secret we need the employers to be part, and they need to be convinced of the benefits. If not, the whole system will not work. Second, we need the policymakers to set the frame, because we don't want apprenticeship with dead ends. So there needs to be systems which allow an apprentice to continue whenever they want to continue, and that's extremely important. And third, there needs to be some support in what way, be it financial or non-financial. And I have to admit that we found out that the non-financial incentives are even more important, meaning how do we support, for instance, with all the bureaucracy, contracting, small and medium-sized enterprises. That's why we need, and whatever the structure is, it doesn't matter. For us, it is important that there will be support that can be done at national level, at regional level, local level. That's not so important at the end. But we need also support for the apprenticeships as such.
And Norbert, you have a broad picture again about apprenticeships in Europe. Do you think that you could group countries with different challenges or common challenges in groups, let's say? Does it make sense, or really different countries share different goals, challenges, sorry?
I would say that the main difference is that the systems are quite different, the education training systems, and also at which level countries stand. So the starting point, I would say. Because like Flanders is a country, a well-developed country for sure, but for instance on the apprenticeship system, they are a youngster in a way. They have only started a couple of years ago. It's not comparable maybe with long-standing traditions coming even from the medieval ages in Austria or Germany. So I think that is a key difference. But if I may say, on the challenge, I think we all share, I would say, the same challenge. First of all, the attractiveness of the system, and we heard it just from Austria, well-established system, but they need to find not only companies to offer apprenticeship, but also young people who are interested in apprenticeship. And there's only one exception that I know at the moment, which is France, because they are really increasing the supply. The quality is directly linked to apprenticeship, for instance, in terms of are the apprentices paid for the workplace component, makes it attractive as well for the young people and young adults who want to do an apprenticeship. Then, of course, as I said, attractiveness. Second, supply. financial support, particularly to SMEs. Quality assurance is sometimes an issue as well. And as I said before, the involvement of youth organizations or representation of young people. All in all, to conclude, I would say that the biggest challenge is after COVID to see how we can exit from COVID and how we can strengthen the partnership and make apprenticeship really as successful as it was. All the problems.
Thank you, Norbert. I think we have some sound problems. Let's move to Simon. Simon, your initiative, if I understood properly, you built networks among youngsters and companies to promote apprenticeships. But how do you ensure that you can detect innovation through these companies, initiatives, and the communication among members? What is essential on that point?
I think regularity is essential. It's essential, as you already mentioned, to connect the companies with each other. And this is one of our main focuses. As I already mentioned in the beginning, we are cross-industry initiative, means that they learn from each other. We provide the platform, we provide the seminar, we provide the webinar in COVID times. But physical events are starting over again with the vaccination and all this stuff. Providing a platform where the companies can connect and learn from each other. This is very important for us. And like my colleague mentioned it already before, they are having the same problems, and does not matter which industry.
And what about you, Carl? How do we ensure that you are aware of the innovation that, for instance, are happening in these sectors, in these councils of sectors, and in your network, because you are the umbrella organization? How do you ensure that you detect innovation and you ensure the communication within the network?
Well, on several ways. One way is that we are also present in the sectoral partnerships. Not me myself, but my colleagues who are in charge of the sectoral follow-up from education. So we take part in these sectoral partnerships, which gives us a very good idea of what is happening over there. But also we as a Flemish partnership, we meet on a regular basis with these sectoral partnerships. So if there is some concern, but also if there is something interesting happening in a certain sector, we can capture the signal quite fast, and we can do several things with that. We can, of course, if it's a problem, we can try to solve it, definitely. But if it's something interesting that should need to be broadened to other sectors, we take up the role of a facilitator to communicate these things to other sectors as well, and we can do that on several ways. We can try to organize these learning networks between sectors. We can try to build up a communication campaign and things like that. But we are involved in these sectoral partnerships, and that I think is most important. You can delegate tasks to the sector, but you cannot delegate a task without a sort of follow-up. So we always try to keep an eye on these things that they're doing, and to keep in touch with all these people. Keeping in touch is the main job to be informed.
Okay, Carl. And as Norbert has mentioned, you have a quite young dual learning system. Which are the challenges that this new dual system is facing, and which are the particular challenges that this way to work through these networks is facing?
Well, our challenges are not so different compared to other countries. I think the main challenge in Flanders is making dual learning an attractive pathway. Dual learning is not very common in Flanders, and due to COVID, it's even more challenging to convince students, parents, schools, and companies to start with dual learning. And due to this challenge and due to the low number of students in some courses, it's difficult to keep everyone at the same level of expectation. Schools do not receive the number of students they were aiming at, although they made a lot of investments. But the same holds true for companies. They have an accreditation, but cannot train a student because there's an imbalance in offer and demand. In one region, there are no students for a number of workplaces, while in another region, there are a lot of students waiting for a company. We can try to tackle it in several ways. A more focused offer, depending on the regional possibilities, but also by making dual learning more well known. It remains a challenge. If your needs are not met at a certain point in time, you will not invest in dual learning anymore. That's why communication and making it more well known and making it an attractive pathway, same holds true for VET in general, making it more attractive to parents, to students, in order to convince students of the pathway that is sometimes more for them compared to the more general pathways.
Yes. And what about the commitment of the companies in the participation in apprenticeship networks? Simon, for instance, do you think that companies are willing to participate in such apprenticeship networks like yours, for instance?
Yes, I see it on my agenda actually. Like we're having new talks with companies every day, 1 to 3, and yes, there is a huge demand, and people really appreciate our service to get the connection to other branches, to other like industries, and have the exchange of information. I see
Great.
that.
And what about you, Norbert? Do you think that companies are willing to get involved in these apprenticeship networks?
Well, at least those which are active at your level, let's say at the Urban Alliance level. Again, from the survey, we found out.
Norbert, we have some problems with your sound, so I will move to Carl. I will put the same question, and we will wait for. I will go back again and try to answer the question. Carl, what do you think? How can we motivate companies to participate, firstly in apprenticeships and then in apprenticeships networks?
Well, totally different questions, of course, because investing in companies in order to take part in dual learning means that you, or a way to do so is by giving the company, as I mentioned earlier, a responsibility in line with the investment he's making. It should be a win-win situation for all the parties. The student, he can learn in a very realistic setting, but for the company it should also be a win in the sense that he's investing in a future employee. But it's something totally different compared to how to engage a company into a network. And well, I'm not quite familiar with these networks because the Flemish Partnership is like an umbrella organization where employee organizations are involved, not the real companies, as to say. So, well, can I skip the question, Guillaume, because
Yes, you can.
I'm not quite familiar with it.
Don't worry, it's true that the Flemish Partnership, the participation of the company is through the employees, the employers organization, not the companies itself. So let's try to put the question to Norbert. Norbert, let's cross our fingers right now. Do you think that how could we motivate companies to participate in apprenticeship networks? It was my former question.
I hope the sound is okay now.
Yes, it is.
As I said, from our survey, we know that in all these coalitions or alliances, social partners, meaning employer and trade unions, are part of these networks. And if we include the businesses, then this is the companies are the most important group. Also in the European Alliance for Apprenticeship. So I think there has been a mindset for many companies that they see now the benefits of apprenticeship. That, of course, does not mean that we should not reach out to more companies. But I think there has been a change in the last years all over Europe, that companies see the benefits, but a lot needs to be done, a bit as Carl said, that we need to communicate better the benefits to those which are not yet convinced to invest in apprenticeships.
Thank you, Norbert. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Simon. I think it was a very interesting panel session. Congratulations for your work. Let's expect to work more closely with us, with other networks like our Alianza para la FP Dual. Let's think in some project for next year, as I have already spoken with some of you. And thanks. I think we can conclude with two conclusions. The first one is that at the European level, countries share same challenges on this topic, on the apprenticeship topic, the apprenticeships topic. So Norbert has explained it very well. And the second conclusion, I would say, is the power of cooperation. If we cooperate at regional, at local, at national, and at international level, we can put the apprenticeship topic in a better position for sure. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to our attendants to follow this panel session. Thank you.